I was just reaching for my omegas this morning, and when I think about fat, I think of all the different benefits that fat has for our bodies. That's why it's called essential. It's for our hair and our skin and our hormones and our brain and our heart and so many things. And when we talk to people, we can't just say, oh, it's good for everything. So if we break it down and say, well, it's good, we'll say, for example, we'll say it's good for preventing clots, blood clots. Now that's a big benefit for people. And how does that work, let's say? Well, I think it's very important to simplify it. We can hear all the science, and it's great to have Tom Maher there, absolutely wonderful. But when we go out and talk to somebody that doesn't really have a clue what's going on inside the body, it's nice to give a little picture. So what I do is I talk about the blood cells. I'd say, okay, so you've got blood cells floating around in your body, and we have arteries. Our arteries are elastic, not very elastic, but they do. They if a person is under pressure, is under stress, that can stretch, cause a lot of tension in the artery. And if we're taking our nutrients, of course, the lining of the artery is going to be very strong, so it's going to resist the pressure and really give us a good chance of getting over the stress. And the other thing that that's needed in our arteries as well, we need sufficient water. The blood clots otherwise are very condensed and concentrated, so we need water. It's a bit like going into a bath and just throwing some bath salts into the water. It needs water, so the water fills up the arteries and the blood cells swim along and they have a lovely time. Now, how does clot occur? A clot is when you get sticky blood. And how do you get sticky blood? Well, you get sticky blood when you have very little, first of all, when there's very little water, the artery is constricted, and then the blood cells are going through there. And then when you have less essential fats in the body, the blood becomes sticky. And when the blood becomes sticky, they begin to stick together. I often think of the blood cells without omegas or without fats. I often think of them a bit like cellophane, if you have a piece of cellophane paper. So if you have a piece of sellotape and you put the two sticky sides together, that's a bit like the blood sticking together. Now, if you turn the sellotape around and you put the two glossy sides together, they just rub off each other, nothing sticks. The same thing happens with our blood. When we have fats in our body, this is good cholesterol. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol. Bad cholesterol is just poison, man-made poisons. So I hate when I hear people saying blood, good and bad cholesterol. What's your good cholesterol? Don't worry about your bad, you can get rid of the bad. If you have bad cholesterol, all you have to do is just get rid of all the rubbish that has man-made fats in it. The spreads and the biscuits and the buns and the chips and all of that. So they're all man-made, and they're quite happy to confuse people, because when people are confused, they wonder this, or they'd say, oh, I'm taking butter now, but I don't use the spreads. Yeah, but you might be eating biscuits, and you might be going to the chipper and getting chips and whatever. So get rid of the idea of good and bad fat. There's only good, and this is it. Not only good, but it's the best. So it's also a bit like an apple. So you have the apple. If you put two apples together like that, this is the skin around the apple. The skin is like the omegas. It's protecting the apple. The apple does not become oxidated as a result of the skin. But if you break the skin, you leave the apple exposed and oxidation occurs. So that is blood clots. So we need to drink water, reduce our stress, take omegas, get rid of all the man-made stuff, and you've done an awful lot of good for your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual and financial health. My word, how much can you save when you get rid of buying all the rubbish? So I'm sharing this. My friend said just to share anything that I'm putting up. I have a YouTube channel for years that I put an odd thing into it. So she said, if you put something in, just put it up with the group and it helps somebody. Because I believe we have to keep it very, very simple. And how simple can it be? Because that's the other thing is, when I started looking for good fats, the shops and health shops, I really couldn't be 100% sure of what I was buying. Because our money is very important. You part with your money and you expect to get what you buy paid for. But when we come to Sizzle, we're investing our money. We're not spending it. We're investing it in the greatest asset we have, and that is our health and wellness. So we can go from the worst to the best very easily. And at the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is always in the eating.